So, what's the craziest thing that's ever happened to you or that you saw while waterfowl hunting, or maybe a favorite hunt or hunting story?
Oh boy. All right, I got one. I got two. The first one will be shorter than the second one.
Okay.
But we went up the Lake St. Clair, and we were hunting the shallows back there. But the only way that you can get to the shallows from where we launched the boat was to go across. I think it's the St. Clair River. It's whatever river dumps in from Huron into the Lake St. Clair. And we were out hunting, and we shot a bunch of. It was crazy. We went up there and we were expecting to see more puddle ducks, but we were just shooting buffleheads, and it was like they just come in on a string. So we shoot a bunch of them. We start to come in, and my buddy, he had an 18-foot Lund and with a 70-horse tiller. And I mean, I trust nobody with my life more than I trust him on any body of water in that boat. He is just incredible with it. And I'm sitting back, like he has seats that run through the middle, and I got my back to the front of the boat, and I look up at him, and he looks at me, and he goes, "This is going to be bad." And I turn around, and it's 6 or 7 footers. For whatever reason, the wind shifted to the perfect direction where it just whipped up the waves in the river. And we had like a quarter mile, maybe a half mile when we got onto the river to get to the boat ramp. And it was just, I'm looking up at the sky, looking down at the floor of the boat. And I mean, like he just did it flawlessly. But when we got back to the boat ramp, he was like physically and mentally drained from that. And I mean, like it probably took us 15 minutes just because he had to hit every crest of the wave perfectly to set the bow of the boat down so that we didn't like capsize. And we still talk about that. It's like, man, you remember when we were in 6 and 7 footers and your tiller boat? Like, it is the wildest thing I've ever been a part of.
Jeez.
But that same person, we were hunting in an area down here. And like I mentioned about the freighters earlier, like if you don't know certain things about the lake and like where rock walls and stuff sit, then you can set yourself up for failure big time. And so we got done and we were coming out of this river and a big freighter was coming in. And we stopped because we were like, this wake, you could see the wake behind it. I mean, it was a 5-foot wake. And we're like, we're going to sit here so that we can ride it while we're not moving, and then we can balance the boat a little better. And as we're sitting there, we look over, and there's a group sitting on the rocks hunting. And as we're watching it, they're perfectly in line with an old dike wall that comes off of this point. And it kicked up to like a 8-9 foot wave, and it swamps them. I mean, it throws the boat 10 foot up on the rocks. It absolutely swamps all 3 of them.
Jeez.
And we're like, oh crap. So after we are settled, then we fly over there in the boat, and I pull up, and it's my father-in-law and both of my sister-in-law's boyfriends.
Jeez.
On the rocks. And we're like, what are the odds of this? And so we get up on the rocks, and we're like making sure they're all good. They got swamped. Their waders are full. And my buddy's like, man, I just put he has like I'd say a mobile bilge pump that he can just clip onto his battery. Okay. And the boat was up on the rocks, and it was completely full of water. So we took a battery that was, one of the batteries that was in the boat was still working, so we just got it out, cleaned it off real quick, and we pumped that boat out. And then me and my other buddy that was in there, we had to pull this thing off the rocks. And I mean, it was a 17-foot John boat, like it wasn't light, and especially when it was still like waterlogged essentially. But yeah, I was just like, what are the odds that those guys were there? And we watched them get swamped, and then because otherwise we were the only other boat out there. So it's like they got swamped. I don't know if we don't know if their phones would have stopped working. You know what I mean? And
Sure.
like it was just like the safety thing, but it was just like, man, we couldn't have been in the perfect place at a more perfect time.
Right.
It was
Glad
nuts.
everybody was okay.